Hey everyone, it's Maitha. In this video, I'm going to be talking about self-confidence basically. What is self-confidence, how you can gain self-confidence, what I did in my personal journey to overcome low self-confidence, because this is a universal thing that everyone faces, right? And just a disclaimer for this video is that self-confidence can truly be found in many different ways. These are just my personal experiences and what tended to work for me. Therefore, I wanted to share this with all of you guys in case you want to learn more, struggling with self-confidence, etc., or maybe just want to watch this video for fun. Alright, before actually talking about how to gain self-confidence or what self-confidence the benefits are, etc., we need to actually talk about how would you define self-confidence. So obviously there's many ways of defining self-confidence. The way I would define it, however, is truly knowing and accepting your true self. This means that you accept your flaws and you also accept your strengths. You need to accept both. And there's many different ways of actually overcoming self-confidence. These ones are like the general ones, I'd say, in order to overcome self-confidence. I'll get into a more detailed step-by-step guide later in this video. So the first way in order to overcoming or gain self-confidence is to acknowledge your strength. Acknowledge. This is super important. Acknowledgement of your strengths. If you know what your strengths are, and if you're proud about your strengths, that'll automatically boost your confidence, no matter how rough a situation was, no matter how low your self-confidence currently is. If you know you've done something good, if you know you're proud about it, something you've worked really hard for and you've accomplished, then that'll automatically increase your self-confidence. Now, the first and second one correlate. The second one is comparison, right? Don't compare yourself to other people. And this step can be really hard for a lot of people just because sometimes we're honestly just brought up in an environment where we're forced to compare ourselves with others our age. We face this problem, adults definitely face this problem in their work environments, and unfortunately and sadly to say, nowadays it's even common for younger kids to also face this problem. So the first and the second, the way that they correlate is that when you acknowledge your strengths and do the second option about how you don't compare yourself, right? So when you acknowledge your strengths, it's utterly important that you don't compare your strength to someone else's strength, because all that can do is decrease the way your mind perceives that strength in the first place, right? The strength itself isn't what is giving you self-confidence, because self-confidence truly is a mindset. By analyzation of your own self, you can either have high confidence or low confidence. So it truly is a mindset. By acknowledging your strengths, you really have to focus on just yourself. Ignore everyone else out there. They are not important to you right now. As harsh as that might sound, in order to actually improve your self-confidence, you seriously need to put 100% of the focus on you, especially if you're trying to gain that self-confidence. So not comparing yourself to other people is especially important. Also, in this step, when you're trying to have confidence, you need to analyze yourself anyway. And if you analyze yourself long enough, you will not have time to even pay attention to others and compare yourself in the first place. Okay, so the third general step I'd say in order to increase your self-confidence is having an open mind. So this step is important because when you have low self-confidence, you're at point A, you're down here, right? And you want to be up here, mentally, internally, whatever you call it, right? And there's a gap from point A to point B. So open-mindedness actually helps you fill in that gap, right? By having an open-mindedness, by having an open mind, you can actually change. You can make yourself go from point A to point B in the first place. There's many specific ways you can do that. I'll also mention that later in this video, and I'll also link a Google Doc below as to how specifically you can actually gain self-confidence, or at least what worked for me. Okay, so the fourth general thing in order to gain self-confidence is having a positive attitude on life, on events, on people, on everything that's going on around you right now. So having a positive attitude is especially important because no matter how hard a situation is, there's always going to be hard situations in your life, right? And in order to overcome those hard situations and not be completely beaten down by it, you really need to take a step back, look at it from afar as if you're an eagle and have their eyes, right? Just see the overall perspective. Maybe think in your head, okay, so why did this happen? Well, what can I do to fix my current situation? What can I do to fix my current mental state? What can I do to currently fix how I perceive this situation, right? More often than not, we tend to feel without knowing why we feel what we feel. If you actually take a step back and think that, okay, why am I thinking about this so negatively? Why is it affecting my mental health in a negative way? Then automatically, by having that self-awareness, your confidence is going to surely but slowly increase just by doing this fourth step, having a positive attitude. Also, with this fourth step, honestly, you can trick yourself to being a more positive person, which automatically will increase your self-confidence. For example, there's situations around you or situations that are happening to you. Just say that everything happens for a reason and look at the positives that happen to it. No matter how hard a situation is, there's always going to be a positive outlook or something positive about it. All right, so now moving on to my personal steps or my personal guide in order to gain self-confidence. This is truly from personal experience, personal hardships that I've faced, and how I specifically gained self-confidence after a rough situation. All right, so my first step would be to acknowledge your flaws, right? The acknowledgement of your strengths, like I mentioned in the general ways to gain confidence, you also need to acknowledge your flaws, while at the same time acknowledging your strengths. Again, this all comes from being self-aware of yourself as a person, knowing who you are, knowing what your strengths are, and knowing what your weaknesses are. However, if a weakness is bothering you, because generally that's what happens to majority of people, there's something that they're not confident about, they feel weak about, and they don't know how to improve it, right? And that's where self-improvement comes in. And that's the first step to actually improving, is acknowledging that there is a flaw. If you acknowledge that there is a problem, that's the first step to solving that problem. All right, so going on to the second step of at least my personal journey is that make sure you actually identify what specific flaw you want to improve. If you're just an average person like me, you're going to have many flaws, right? And it's always going to be one thing in particular that weighs you down, or it could be a collection of the things that's weighing you down as well. So you honestly need to take it step by step. If you see that there is a flaw, especially an internal flaw that is bothering you, then it's especially important that you identify what specific flaw that you want to improve. Okay, moving on to the third step is that now that you acknowledged your flaw, you understood what specific flaw that you want to improve. The third step is that you need to make internal steps. This step is important and it will also take a lot of time. You need to make specific steps as to how specifically you can change or alter your specific traits or behavior to improve that flaw that is really just making you not confident. So this third step is really the part where the improving and the open-mindedness comes in, right? Because the whole making internal steps, because some people are so stubborn that they're just not willing to improve on something that even if it makes them not confident, they're not willing to improve that. So making internal steps, just being like, okay, so this situation is happening. This is what I used to do in the past. This really bothered me. And now I keep on repeating it in my head. It's not settling with me. I really want to change this about myself. Think about it. Why do you want to change this about yourself? What specifically can you change about yourself? How can you prevent that from being a problem in the future? Okay, moving on to the fourth step of my guide is that just now is all about you putting effort in those internal steps that you have created for yourself. Try your best. Try your best using the effort you have done through your internal analysis to keep on improving that specific flaw that keeps on weighing you down. The second that you make progress and improve, you're automatically going to feel self-confident. Moving on to the fifth step is checking in on that progress, right? Now, all these steps are so much more harder done than said, but trust me, if you take it slow and steady, you're going to see results very fast. So the fifth step about checking your progress is that you need to keep, this whole guide is all about you being self-aware. So if you're not self-aware, you just need to think deep sometimes. Checking your progress. How am I doing now, right? Has this flaw improved? Blah, blah, blah. Put yourself in those rough situations that you're uncomfortable in and see how your progress is. If you know your progress, if you're more aware of yourself, then it's going to help you know where you are, and automatically, because you're aware, you're going to feel more self-confident. Okay, moving on to the sixth step is, once you have made enough progress, you need to find that optimal goal or optimal progress benchmark. Is that once you've put in your effort, once you've seen that you're making improvement, the sixth step is all about just seeing, where do you want to stop, right? Because you can't keep on doing this forever. There has to be a conclusion or a stopping point, aka like a resolution, right? So once you've seen that there is progress and you're happy with your progress and you've seen that you've improved, by the fifth and sixth step, you're automatically going to be more self-confident. Now that you've seen optimal progress, let's move on to the seventh step. The seventh step is the most important. The seventh step is all about consistency. Okay, so the seventh step is extremely important just because consistency is key, right? If you make improvement to improving a flaw, the only way that you can make sure that it doesn't become a flaw or an issue for you again in the future is to make sure that you're consistent about it. The internal steps that you made, all the effort that you have put into making sure that this flaw or this problem is not going to weigh you down in the future again, is all about being consistent. If it's some behavioral pattern that you change, keep up that consistency. Maybe don't go back to your behavioral ways, right? If it's something related to academics, just make sure you don't do that academic mistake again. If it's about anything, this is overall just a general guide, I'd say, for self-improvement, which automatically makes you more aware as a person, makes you more self-confident about yourself because of that awareness. Okay, now for the last bits of this video is that just some more general things about how you can really keep your mental health and your confidence intact is that having a hobby or a passion can really help, right? Because if you don't have a hobby or passion, then sometimes you're just gonna feel lost and you're not going to feel as confident. You're just gonna be confused and you're like, what do I even enjoy doing? So go out there, try new things, maybe learn singing, learn drawing, learn dancing, learn a sport, do whatever you want, right? If you have something that you're truly passionate about, then you're more likely to keep on doing that, keep on improving yourself, and then using the guide that I just mentioned earlier, you can automatically see that self-improvement, which can lead to more self-confidence. Also, having a hobby and passion just makes you more of a happier person in general, which will also make you more self-confident just because you're more content with yourself. And this is where I would say I'd go back to the definition of what self-confidence truly is. It's accepting yourself for who you are. Okay. The next couple of things is that also, if you want to be more confident, more content with yourself, maybe talk about some of the negative experiences that you're going through with some of your very close family or extremely close friends. Because friends is a whole other issue, because a lot of people tend to be toxic or backstab you. So I wouldn't say to completely go with telling everyone you consider a friend about your true feelings, but people who know will be there for you in any rough situation, and definitely like your close family, like your mom and dad. I'd say if you're more open with them, you automatically just feel more comfortable. Happiness, being content with yourself, those are all factors that lead to overall just being more self-confident as a person, just knowing yourself, who you are, right? And open up about what you're going through, because I guarantee you, you're not the only one that has been going through this problem. There's tons of other people out there that always go through, not always, but definitely go through similar problems. So if you open up, you'll get to realize that, hey, you're not alone, and that'll automatically make you feel better. Again, and that'll contribute to a factor that makes you more self-confidence, which is happiness and being content with yourself. Anyway, that was just my talk and my personal feelings about how I would view self-confidence, how I worked hard to gain that self-confidence back from several rough events I've experienced. And yeah, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want any more videos, just let me know. Yeah, I felt this topic was pretty important to be talked about, as many people aren't talking about it as of now.